I need someone who can start Monday. Clara Whitmore sat in the waiting room of Florenti Imports, listening to the man behind the massive oak door conduct a phone interview in rapid Italian. She understood every single word, even though her fake resume listed her Italian as only conversational. No, your qualifications are fine, Brando Florenti continued in Italian, his voice sharp with frustration. But I need someone now. My last secretary quit 3 weeks ago and I'm drowning in paperwork. He paused, then she heard his voice again. What do you mean you need 2 weeks' notice? Never mind. Thank you for your time. He hung up. Clara heard him sigh heavily through the door. Then his voice again, still in Italian, calling someone else. Luca, I don't care if it costs more. If the grapes aren't certified organic, we don't import them. That's the whole point of our brand. What do you mean the paperwork got delayed? It's been 6 months. Clara pressed her lips together to keep from smiling. This was not what a mafia boss sounded like. This was what her father sounded like when someone messed up a tax form. The Treasury Department had spent 3 years insisting Brando Florenti was running a criminal empire. But right now, he sounded like a stressed businessman arguing about wine certification. The door swung open and Brando Florenti walked out, still holding his phone, running a hand through his dark hair. He looked younger than his file photo. 33, tired in a way that made him seem both older and somehow more real. He was wearing an expensive sweater with a coffee stain on the sleeve. He looked at Clara, blinked like he'd forgotten she was there, then held up one finger. Wait. He switched to English. Luca, listen to me. Get the certification or find a new supplier. I have an interview. Ciao. He hung up and looked at Clara properly for the first time. You're the accountant. Clara Whitmore. Yes. She stood up, extending her hand. Professional and calm. Definitely not a Treasury agent investigating him for money laundering. Welcome to Annie's Mafia Stories. You're about to dive into a story of secrets, lies, and a love that was never supposed to happen. She went undercover as an Italian Mafia Don's secretary. But somewhere between the lies and late nights, he made her his wife. Before we begin, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories coming. His handshake was firm but quick, like he didn't want to waste time. Your resume says you're conversational in Italian. How conversational? Enough to get by? Clara lied smoothly. She was fluent. Her mother was Italian. She'd grown up speaking it at home, but she'd listed conversational on the fake resume because being fully fluent would have been suspicious. Brando switched to Italian immediately. Tell me about your last position. Clara hesitated just long enough to seem like she was translating in her head, then answered in slightly clumsy Italian. I worked for an import company in Boston. Mostly handled their accounts receivable and payroll. He narrowed his eyes. Why did you leave? The company downsized. They kept the senior accountant. That part was actually true, pulled from a real person's LinkedIn profile that Clara had memorized. Brando studied her for a long moment, then switched back to English. You start Monday, 8 a.m. Don't be late. Wait, that's it? Don't you want to check my references or? I called them yesterday. You're hired. He was already walking back toward his office. My last secretary quit 3 weeks ago and I'm drowning in paperwork. If you can organize a filing system and answer phones, you're perfect. Clara blinked. This was the easiest undercover insertion she'd ever had. Thank you. I won't let you down. Great. Also, do you like dogs? Yes. Good. Merlot hates everyone. If he doesn't bite you in the first week, you're golden. He disappeared into his office and closed the door. Clara stood there for a moment, processing. Then she walked out of the building, got into her car 3 blocks away, and called her handler. Agent Park, I'm in. Already? That was fast. Kim Park sounded surprised. Kim was always surprised when things went according to plan, which was probably why she was so paranoid. What's your read on him? Clara started the car, pulling out into Boston traffic. Honestly, I think we got this wrong. He doesn't act like a criminal. He acts like a businessman who's really stressed about wine. That's what he wants you to think, Clara. That's the whole point. Don't let your guard down. I'm not letting my guard down. I'm just saying, maybe we should reconsider. We've been tracking suspicious wire transfers from his accounts for 3 years. The pattern is clear. He's laundering money for someone. Your job is to find out who and how. Don't get distracted. Clara sighed. Understood. I'll report back after my first week. She hung up and drove home to her tiny apartment in Cambridge, where her 3-legged cat balance sheet was waiting by the door, meowing accusingly. I know, I'm late. She scooped him up, scratching behind his ears. But I got the job, BS. I'm officially Brando Florenti's secretary. BS purred, unimpressed by her career achievements. Clara spent the weekend preparing. She researched wine import regulations, memorized Italian business terminology, and practiced looking like she wasn't fluent. On Monday morning, she arrived at Florenti Imports at 7:45, wearing a conservative lilac dress and carrying a bag full of organizational supplies she'd bought at Staples. The office was unbelievable. Papers everywhere. Wine bottles lined up on every surface. A whiteboard covered in notes that looked like they'd been written in 3 different languages. And in the middle of it all, a massive German shepherd was lying on a dog bed, watching her with suspicious eyes. You must be Merlot, Clara said carefully. The dog growled. Great. We're going to be best friends. He'll warm up to you. Brando's voice came from behind a stack of boxes. He emerged carrying more files, looking like he hadn't slept. Maybe. Possibly. No promises. Clara set down her bag. Where do you want me to start? Anywhere. Everywhere. Pick something and make it better. He dumped the files on her desk. These are all the pending shipments that need customs paperwork. If you can figure out which ones are actually complete, you're a miracle worker. Clara opened the first file. Immediately spotted 3 errors. This one is missing the phytosanitary certificate. Brando stopped. How did you know that in 5 seconds? I'm good with details. She pulled out her label maker and a set of colored folders she'd brought from home. Do you have a filing cabinet? 3. All full. Also disorganized. Perfect. I'll fix them. She spent the entire first day reorganizing. Brando kept walking past her desk, looking confused, like he couldn't believe someone was actually making progress. By 5 p.m., she'd created a complete filing system, color-coded by shipment status, alphabetized by supplier, and cross-referenced with a digital spreadsheet she built in Excel. This is incredible, Brando said, staring at the files. How did you do this? Clara shrugged. I like organizing things. It's calming. You're insane. I love it. He handed her a bottle of wine. Take this home. It's from our Tuscany supplier. Really good vintage. I can't accept. It's a thank you for not quitting on day 1. Most people see this office and run away screaming. He smiled, and Clara realized he had a really nice smile. Warm and genuine. Not the smile of someone running a criminal enterprise. She took the wine. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. That night, she searched his office. Well, she tried to search his office. But everything was so organized now that she'd filed it all herself, and nothing looked suspicious. Just normal import documents, normal invoices, normal business expenses. She checked his computer, password protected, but she'd watched him type it that afternoon. Merlot 2019. He'd gotten the dog in 2019, apparently. His emails were boring. Discussions with suppliers about grape quality. Arguments with distributors about delivery schedules. A long email chain with someone named Nina about whether they should expand into Prosecco. No secret communications. No coded messages. No evidence of money laundering. Clara sat back in his chair, frustrated. Where was the crime? Where were the suspicious transactions? She pulled up his banking records. She had access now as his accountant, and started tracing the wire transfers that had flagged Treasury's attention. A transfer of $50,000 to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Sent every month for the past 14 months. That was it. That was the pattern the Treasury had been tracking. Clara clicked on the account details, ready to document everything for her report. Then she froze. The receiving account wasn't a shell company. It was a government account. A federal government account. She checked the routing number 3 times. Checked the account name. Checked the transfer notes. Payment for services rendered. Her stomach dropped. Brando Florenti was paying the FBI. Clara sat in the dark office, staring at the computer screen, her mind racing. This didn't make sense. Why would someone under investigation be paying the FBI? Unless he wasn't under investigation. Unless he was cooperating with them. She pulled up more transfers. They all went to the same account. Regular payments, like clockwork, for over a year. And they'd started right around the time Treasury flagged him as suspicious. "Oh no," Clara whispered. She'd just gone undercover to investigate someone who was already undercover. Working with the FBI. Probably investigating the same criminal organization that the Treasury thought he was part of. This was a disaster. She needed to report this. Tell Agent Park immediately. Coordinate between agencies. But if she did that, she might blow whatever operation Brando was running with the FBI. And if the FBI found out Treasury had inserted an agent without telling them, there would be a turf war that would destroy both investigations. Clara closed the banking records and shut down the computer. She sat in the dark for a long time, thinking. She couldn't report this yet. She needed more information. She needed to figure out what Brando was actually doing, who he was investigating, and whether Treasury had just accidentally compromised an FBI operation. Which meant she had to keep working here. Keep pretending she didn't know. Keep watching him. Merlot walked over and put his head on her knee. "You saw nothing," Clara told the dog. Merlot wagged his tail once, then went back to his bed. The next morning, Clara arrived early again. Brando was already there, on the phone with someone, speaking Italian too fast for most people to follow. "No, Uncle Saverio, I told you, we're not expanding into spirits. The wine business is complicated enough. I don't care what Papa said, I'm running this company now. Yes, I remember the family meeting. I'll be there Sunday." He hung up, looking exhausted. Saw Clara. "Morning. You're early." Wanted to get started on the customs paperwork. She set down 2 cups of tea. She'd stopped for it on the way. "I wasn't sure what you liked, so I brought options." Brando looked at the tea like she'd handed him gold. "You brought me tea? You mentioned yesterday you can't sleep. Coffee probably makes it worse. Tea has less caffeine." She'd actually noticed he drank coffee all day and looked progressively more stressed. "Green or chamomile?" "Green, thank you. That's really thoughtful." She shrugged and went to her desk. But she'd noticed his reaction. She noticed that no one had brought him tea before and that he looked surprised someone would pay attention to small details about him. She also noticed that when he said, "Uncle Saverio," his voice had changed. Gotten tight. That was the name she needed to investigate. Not Brando. His uncle. Over the next 2 weeks, Clara built a routine. She arrived early, organized files, managed shipments, and answered phones. Brando started asking her opinion on business decisions. She was good at it, not because she knew wine, but because she was good at reading data patterns and risk assessment. "Should we switch to this cheaper shipping company?" he asked one day, showing her a proposal. Clara looked at the numbers. "No. They have a 20% delay rate and hidden fuel surcharges. You'll lose more money in missed delivery windows than you'll save up front." Brando stared at her. "How did you calculate that in 30 seconds? "I'm good with numbers." "You're terrifying. I love it." They started having lunch together. Just in the office, nothing fancy, but they'd sit in the conference room and eat sandwiches and argue about baseball. Clara was a Red Sox fan. Brando was horrified. "The Yankees have 27 championships," he said one day, gesturing with his sandwich. "The Red Sox have heart," Clara countered. "Heart doesn't win games. Statistics win games." "Since when do you care about statistics? You're a wine guy." "Wine is statistics. Acidity levels, sugar content, fermentation temperature, it's all numbers." Clara laughed. She couldn't help it. This man was passionate about wine chemistry and baseball statistics and whether organic certification mattered, and none of it matched the file Treasury had on him. She was starting to think Agent Park was completely wrong. Worse, she was starting to like him. That night, she stayed late to search his files again. She'd been doing this every few days, looking for evidence of the real criminal. His uncle Saverio kept coming up in emails, always asking Brando for favors, for access to accounts, for permission to use the business for family opportunities. And Brando kept saying no. "I told you, Uncle Saverio, this is a legitimate business. I'm not interested in side deals." Clara found emails from someone named Nina, Brando's cousin, warning him about Saverio. "Be careful. Papa is involved in things you don't want to know about. Don't let him drag you down." She found financial records showing Saverio had tried to open accounts under the business name without permission. Brando had shut them all down. And she found one file, hidden in a folder labeled Personal, that was a contract with the FBI. Dated 14 months ago. An agreement to cooperate fully in an investigation of organized crime activities related to the Florenti family. Brando was helping them take down his own uncle. Clara sat back, her heart pounding. This changed everything. He wasn't a criminal. He was a target. His uncle was using his legitimate business as cover, and Brando had gone to the FBI to stop it. And Treasury had no idea. She needed to tell Agent Park. Needed to stop the investigation before. The office door opened. Clara jumped, quickly closing the file. Brando walked in, carrying his laptop. He stopped when he saw her. "You're still here." "I was just finishing some paperwork." Her voice sounded normal. He looked at her for a long moment, like he was seeing something he hadn't noticed before. "Clara, can I ask you something?" Her heart rate spiked. "Sure. Why did you really apply for this job?" Clara's mind raced. She forced a confused smile. "What do you mean?" "I needed a job and you were hiring." Brando set his laptop down slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. "Your references are real. I checked them thoroughly. But your employment timeline has gaps. 3 months here, 6 months there. And you're too good at this job. Too observant. Too perfect." Clara stood up, keeping her face neutral. "I don't understand what you're implying." "I'm not implying anything. I'm just curious." He walked closer, not threatening, just tired. "Are you working for my uncle?" "What? No. I don't even know your uncle." "Good. Because he's dangerous and I don't want you anywhere near him." Brando rubbed his face. "Sorry. I'm paranoid lately. The FBI thinks he's planting spies in my company and I just needed to ask." Clara's stomach twisted. He knew about FBI involvement but thought SHE might be working for the wrong side. "I promise you, I'm not working for your uncle. I'm just an accountant who needed a job." He studied her face for another moment, then nodded. "Okay. I believe you. Sorry for being weird." He picked up his laptop again. "Go home. It's almost 8. You shouldn't be here this late." "What about you?" "I never sleep anyway. 4 hours a night, max. It's a problem." Clara hesitated, then made a decision. A risky one. "Have you tried running?" "I run marathons. It helps clear my head and I sleep better after." Brando looked surprised. "You run marathons?" 6 so far. I'm training for my 7th. She grabbed her bag. "There's a group that runs at 5 a.m. near the waterfront. If you want company, I'm there most mornings. 5 a.m. is insane, says the man who sleeps 4 hours a night. Clara smiled. Think about it. She left before he could answer, her heart pounding. She'd just invited him to run with her. That wasn't protocol. That was personal. That was dangerous. But something had changed tonight. He'd been honest with her about the FBI, about his uncle, about his fears. And she was tired of lying to him. The next morning at 5 a.m., Clara stretched at the waterfront, not expecting him to show up. But at 5:03, Brando appeared in running shoes and sweatpants, looking nervous. I can't believe I'm doing this, he said. You'll hate it for the first mile. After that, it gets easier. Clara started jogging. Come on. He kept up for exactly 10 minutes before gasping. How far have we gone? Half a mile. I'm dying. You're not dying. Breathe through your nose. Clara slowed down slightly. Tell me about wine. Distract yourself. So he did. He talked about growing up in Italy, visiting his grandfather's vineyard, and learning to taste the difference between good wine and great wine. He talked about moving to America at 25, trying to build something legitimate, something separate from his family's complicated history. They ran 3 miles. Brando looked like he might collapse, but he was smiling. Same time tomorrow? Clara asked. You're insane. Yes. It became their routine. 5 a.m. runs, breakfast after at a small cafe, then work. They started knowing each other's coffee orders, each other's stories, and each other's terrible jokes. Brando was funny when he wasn't stressed. Clara was less serious when she wasn't pretending. One morning, 3 weeks later, Brando showed up with a package. I found something, he said, handing it to her. Clara opened it. Inside was a vintage calculator from the 1970s, perfectly restored. Her jaw dropped. How did you know I collect these? You mentioned it once. You said you had 47 of them organized by year. He looked shy, which was adorable on him. I found this one on eBay. Thought you might want number 48. Clara felt something crack in her chest. The wall she'd built between her real self and her cover story. Brando, this is too much. It's just a calculator. No, it's not. She looked at him, really looked at him, and realized she was in serious trouble. Not the investigation kind. The feelings kind. That afternoon, his cousin Nina showed up at the office. She was beautiful, confident, and immediately suspicious of Clara. So you're the new secretary everyone's talking about, Nina said, looking Clara up and down. Everyone's talking about me? Brando won't shut up about you. Says you reorganized his entire life in 3 weeks. Nina smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Just be careful. Our family is complicated. I'm just his secretary. Sure you are. Nina leaned closer. Listen, I like you. You seem normal, which is rare around here. But you should know that Uncle Saverio is asking questions about you. He wants to know who you are, why Brando trusts you. Stay away from him if he shows up. Clara's blood ran cold. Why would he show up? Because he always does. He thinks he owns this business. He thinks he owns all of us. Nina's expression darkened. Just watch yourself. That night, Clara called Agent Park. We need to talk. In person. They met at a coffee shop in Cambridge. Kim looked stressed, which was her permanent state. What's wrong? Kim asked immediately. Everything. This whole investigation is wrong. Clara pulled out her laptop and showed Kim the evidence. The FBI payments. The emails with Saverio. The cooperation agreement. Brando Florenti is not our target. He's working with the FBI to take down his uncle. We're investigating the wrong person. Kim stared at the screen, her face going pale. This can't be right. It is right. I found his FBI contract. He's been cooperating for over a year. If we don't coordinate with them, we could blow their entire operation. Why didn't the FBI tell us they had someone inside? Probably because they didn't know we were investigating him. This is a bureaucratic nightmare. Clara closed her laptop. We need to close our case and coordinate with them. Or pull me out and let them handle it. Kim was quiet for a long moment. What's really going on, Clara? What do you mean? You sound different. You sound like you're defending him. Clara's chest tightened. I'm not defending anyone. I'm following the evidence. The evidence says he's innocent. Or he's really good at covering his tracks. Or he's playing both sides. Kim leaned forward. Don't get emotionally involved. That's how agents get burned. I'm not emotionally involved. Then why are you fighting so hard to clear him? Because he bought me a vintage calculator. Because he shows up at 5 a.m. even though running kills him. Because he protects people he cares about and he's trying to do the right thing in an impossible situation. Because it's the truth, Clara said instead. Kim sighed. I'll talk to my supervisor. See if we can coordinate with the FBI. But you stay in place until we figure this out. Keep your cover. Keep investigating. And Clara, be careful. If you're right about the uncle, you're in more danger than you realize. Clara went home that night feeling sick. She fed BS, made tea, and sat on her couch staring at nothing. Her phone buzzed. A text from Brando. Thank you for this morning. I actually slept 6 hours last night. Whatever magic you're working, keep it up. She smiled despite everything. Texted back. Not magic, just science. Running releases endorphins. Glad it's helping. Want to grab dinner tomorrow? Not business. Just dinner. There's a new Italian place in town I want to try. Clara stared at the text. This was bad. This was crossing every line. She should say no and maintain distance. She should remember she was undercover and he was technically still under investigation. She texted back. Yes. What time? The next evening, Brando picked her up at 7. He was nervous, she could tell. He kept adjusting his jacket, talking too fast about the restaurant's wine list. You know I don't really understand wine, right? Clara said, amused. I'll teach you. It's easy once you know what to taste for. The restaurant was small, family-owned, with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. Brando ordered an Italian, impressing the waiter, then turned to Clara with a smile. I ordered the tasting menu. Hope that's okay. It's the best way to experience the chef's range. Perfect. Clara felt weirdly underdressed in her simple black dress, but Brando was looking at her like she was the most interesting person in the room. They talked about everything except work. Books, movies, childhood stories. Brando told her about learning to play guitar from his grandfather. Clara told him about her disastrous violin playing that made her neighbors complain. You play violin? His eyes lit up. Badly. Very badly. I don't believe that. Play for me sometime. Absolutely not. I have some dignity left. He laughed and it was genuine and warm and Clara realized she was falling for him. Actually falling. Not pretending. Not as part of her cover. Really truly falling for someone she was investigating. This was the worst possible thing that could happen. After dinner, they walked along the waterfront. Boston lights reflected on the water. Brando was quiet, hands in his pockets. Can I tell you something? He said finally. Of course. I haven't felt this normal in years. Since before I found out about my uncle, about the family business, about all the things I can't control. He stopped walking and looked at her. You make me feel normal. Like I'm just a guy who runs a wine company and can't run 3 miles without dying. Clara's throat tightened. You're better than normal. You're good. You're trying to fix things that aren't your fault. How did you know that? I just do. I pay attention. She wanted to tell him everything. Wanted to confess who she really was, why she was really there. But the words stuck. Brando reached out, hesitated, then took her hand. I really like you, Clara. I really like you too. They stood there for a moment, just holding hands, and Clara felt her entire world tilting. She'd been trained for undercover work. Trained to separate feelings from duty. Trained to maintain cover no matter what. But nobody had trained her for this. For falling in love with someone who was good and kind and fighting his own battles while she pretended to be someone else. Her phone buzzed. A text from Kim. FBI agreed to meet. Tomorrow at 10. Stay in character until then. Clara pulled her hand away, suddenly cold. I should get home. Early morning tomorrow. Right. Yeah. Brando looked confused by her sudden shift but didn't push. I'll drive you. The car ride was quiet. When he dropped her off, he smiled. Same time for running tomorrow? Maybe. I'll text you. Clara got out quickly, before she could do something stupid like kiss him or tell him the truth. She went inside, locked her door, and sat down with BS in her lap. I messed up, she told the cat. I really messed up. BS purred, completely unhelpful. The next morning, Clara met with Kim and 2 FBI agents in a secure location. One of them was Agent Don Reynolds, Brando's handler. Reynolds looked angry. You put an undercover agent on MY asset without telling us? We didn't know he was your asset, Kim shot back. You should have flagged him in the system. It's a sensitive operation. We flagged him as protected. Your department ignored it. Clara interrupted. Can we focus, please? What happens now? Reynolds turned to her. You pull out. Today. We can't have Treasury compromising our operation. I'm not compromising anything. I've actually been helpful. I found information about his uncle that... Information we already have. We don't need your help. Clearly you do, because Severio is still operating freely. Clara stood her ground. I'm in a good position. Brando trusts me. I can help. Brando is MY asset. He doesn't need to trust you. Kim cut in. What if we coordinate? Clara stays in place but reports to both agencies. We pool resources, take down Severio together. Reynolds considered this. Does Florenti know she's Treasury? No, Clara said. Good. Let's keep it that way. He's paranoid enough already. Reynolds pulled out a file. Severio Florenti is planning something big. A meeting next week with his associates. We need Brando to get us inside information. If your agent can help with that without blowing her cover, fine. But the second she becomes a liability, she's out. Clara nodded. Understood. She left the meeting feeling worse than before. Now she was lying to everyone. To Brando about who she was. To the FBI about her feelings. To herself about whether she could actually do this job anymore. When she got to the office, Brando was waiting with tea and a smile. You didn't text about running, so I brought breakfast instead. Bagels from that place you like. Clara took the bagel, her heart breaking a little. Thank you. Are you okay? You seem off. Just tired. Didn't sleep well. He studied her face. Clara, if something's wrong, you can tell me. I know we haven't known each other long, but I trust you. I hope you trust me too. She looked at him. This man who was fighting his own family to do the right thing. I trust you, she said quietly, and meant it, which made everything so much worse. The next week moved fast. Too fast. Severio showed up at the office on Tuesday, all charm and expensive cologne. He was older than Brando, maybe 50, with gray hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. So this is the famous Clara, he said, taking her hand and kissing it. My nephew talks about you constantly. Clara pulled her hand back. Nice to meet you, Mr. Florenti. Please, call me Severio. We're practically family now. He winked at Brando. When's the wedding? Brando's face went red. Uncle, stop. She's my secretary. For now. Severio laughed, but Clara heard the edge in it. He was testing them, measuring their relationship, looking for weaknesses. I need to borrow you on Thursday evening. Family meeting. Business opportunities. I told you, I'm not interested in your opportunities. This one you'll want to hear. Big money. International connections. Severio's smile hardened. Your father will be there. He expects you. After Severio left, Brando looked sick. I hate these meetings. They always want me to do something illegal, and I have to keep saying no without making them suspicious. Clara made a decision. Take me with you. What? Oh. Absolutely not. You said yourself they think we're dating. Bring me as your girlfriend. I'll be your excuse to leave early if things get uncomfortable. Clara was thinking fast. This was the meeting Reynolds mentioned. This was her chance to help. Plus I'm curious about your family. Brando hesitated. It could be dangerous. I'll be with you. I'll be fine. He looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. But stay close to me. Don't talk to Severio alone. Promise me. I promise. Thursday evening, Brando picked her up wearing a suit. Clara wore a red dress she'd bought specifically for this. Brando stared when he saw her. You look beautiful, he said quietly. You clean up pretty well yourself. Clara got in the car, her heart racing. She had a wire hidden in her bracelet, FBI approved. Everything said tonight would be recorded. The meeting was at a restaurant, a private room upstairs. 12 men, all looking dangerous in expensive suits. Severio at the head of the table. And Brando's father, Marco, looked exactly like an older version of his son. Everyone, this is Clara, Brando announced, keeping her hand in his. My girlfriend. The room went quiet. Then Severio laughed. Finally. I thought you'd stay single forever. She's lovely. Welcome to the family, Clara. They sat through dinner, Clara saying little, watching everything. The men talked in coded language about shipments and deliveries and percentages. Brando barely touched his food. Then Severio stood up. Now for business. We have an opportunity. Our friends in Sicily need help moving product through our ports. High-value items. 1 shipment, 5 million profit, split among us. What kind of product? Brando asked, his voice tight. Does it matter? It's money. It matters to me. I run a legitimate business. Your business is our business. Family business. Severio's smile disappeared. Your grandfather built this empire. Your father maintains it. You don't get to pretend you're clean because you import wine. I'm not pretending. I am clean. And I'm not using my company for smuggling. The room tensed. Marco stood up. Brando, don't be stupid. This is family. Family doesn't ask me to risk everything I built. Brando stood too, pulling Clara up with him. I'm done with these meetings. I'm done pretending I'll eventually come around. Find someone else. Severio's face went cold. You're making a mistake. I'm fixing one. Come on, Clara. Brando walked out, Clara following, her heart pounding. She'd recorded everything. The FBI had their evidence. In the car, Brando was shaking. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought you. That was stupid and dangerous. You were brave. You stood up to them. I've been standing up to them for 2 years. It never gets easier. He drove in silence for a moment. Clara, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you weeks ago. Clara's stomach dropped. What? I'm working with the FBI. Have been for over a year. They're investigating my uncle and I'm helping them build a case. He glanced at her. I'm telling you because you're involved now. Because I trust you. And because if something happens to me, you need to contact Agent Reynolds immediately. Clara felt tears sting her eyes. He was confessing to her, being honest, while she was still lying to him. Brando, I need to tell you something too. What? Before she could answer, her phone rang. Kim Park. Clara, we have a problem. Saverio knows. He figured out you're not just a secretary. He's coming for you. Clara's blood went cold. How does he know? We don't know. But you need to get somewhere safe. Now. Brando heard enough of the conversation to go pale. What's happening? Drive to the FBI field office. Now. Clara hung up, turning to him. I'm a Treasury agent. I've been investigating you for 6 months. I'm sorry I lied. I'm so sorry. But right now we need to get somewhere safe because your uncle figured it out. Brando didn't say anything. He just drove faster. They made it to the FBI office. Reynolds was waiting with a protection detail. We're moving you both to a safe house. Saverio has contracts out. He thinks you're both informants now. Clara's not part of this, Brando said immediately. She's just my secretary. She's a federal agent who recorded your family dinner, Reynolds corrected. She's very much part of this. And thanks to her recording, we have enough to arrest Saverio tonight. But you both need protection until trial. They were taken to a house in suburban Massachusetts. Safe, quiet, boring. 2 agents outside. Brando and Clara inside, not talking, sitting on opposite ends of the couch. Finally, Brando spoke. You've been investigating me this whole time? Yes. The running, the dinners, the calculator, all of it was fake. No. Clara turned to him. That part was real. All of it. I started investigating you because Treasury thought you were a criminal. But I figured out the truth weeks ago. You're not the bad guy. Your uncle is. And I've been trying to help you while lying about who I am, and I know that's terrible, but I didn't know how to tell you without ruining everything. You could have just told me, instead of letting me fall for someone who wasn't real. I am real. Clara Whitmore is my real name. My love of tea and running and terrible violin playing, all real. The only thing fake was my job title. She moved closer. And I fell for you too. That's why this is so hard. I broke every rule by falling for someone I was investigating. Brando looked at her, really looked at her. You fell for me? Completely. Stupidly and unprofessionally. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I figured it out 3 months ago. That you were investigating me. Clara's jaw dropped. What? Your references checked out, but the timeline was wrong. Your skills were too perfect. You found that FBI payment too easily. He smiled sadly. I called Reynolds. He confirmed you were Treasury. He said you were actually helping, finding things about Saverio I'd missed. So I kept you around. You and Agent Reynolds knew? We knew. And I fell for you anyway. He reached for her hand. I kept waiting for you to tell me the truth. Kept hoping you trusted me enough. I wanted to. Every single day. They sat there, holding hands, both of them liars, both of them honest, both of them trying to do the right thing in an impossible situation. So what now? Clara asked. Now we testify. Put Saverio in prison. Figure out if we're real outside of all this. Brando squeezed her hand. Think you can handle dating someone whose family is in the Mafia? Think you can handle dating someone who investigates people for a living? Probably not. But I'm willing to try. 3 months later, Saverio was convicted. Brando's business was cleared of all suspicion. Clara got promoted to senior investigator. They moved in together, a compromise apartment halfway between her office and his. B.S. and Merlot became instant best friends, sleeping in a pile every night. Clara still ran marathons. Brando still couldn't keep up, but he tried. They argued about baseball constantly. She organized his entire life. He bought her vintage calculators for every occasion. 1 year after the trial, Brando took her to Italy, to his grandfather's vineyard, where it all started. They walked through rows of grapes in the sunset. "I have a question," he said, stopping in the middle of the vineyard. "If it's about organic certification again, I swear." He pulled out a ring. "Marry me." Clara stared at the ring, then at him. "That's not a question." "Fine. Will you marry me, Clara Whitmore? Will you let me spend the rest of my life arguing with you about baseball and bringing you tea and trying to keep up with your running pace?" She kissed him, and yes, they figured out the rest. Their wedding was small. Nina cried. Reynolds showed up with a gift. Kim Park admitted she was wrong about everything. Clara's sister Ivy planned the whole thing and only went slightly overboard with flowers. B.S. and Merlot were ring bearers. It worked for exactly 30 seconds before the cat knocked over a wine bottle. Clara kept her job at Treasury. Brando kept his wine business. They worked in the same city, different buildings, and had lunch together every day. Lived a perfectly imperfect life. 1 year later, Clara found a suspicious payment in the books. Brought it to Brando, worried. He laughed. "That's the down payment on our house. I forgot to tell you." She threw a pen at him. He caught it. They kissed. B.S. knocked over another wine bottle. Just another normal day. The end. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed Clara and Brando's undercover romance, please subscribe to Annie's Mafia Stories. It helps more than you know. Drop a comment with your favorite moment, and I'll see you in the next story.